angle, and then we're done. Okay?
All right. Yeah. Cool. Like how much further? Like
A little more.
Right.
A little more.
you got?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
The Back Room, a horror like no other. A place that has all the things that make you unsettle. Yellow wallpaper, buzzing from a light, infinite space. Now, you've probably already heard of it, or even seen some theories about it, but in my time, they just released a new video giving us that good old lore. And I know that originally this idea came from a photo, but today we're going to be exploring Kane Pixels' version. So, if you go on to enjoy this video, please subscribe and leave a like, it would really help out. But without further ado, let's start from the beginning. The very beginning.
On July 2nd, 1988, the ASIN Research Facility tested its low-proximity magnetic distortion system for the third time.
It all started when the company called Async, which back in July 2nd, 1988, Async had their third test of its low-proximity magnet distortion, or later known as KV31, or as many as you know it, the back room. Now, why was such a thing created?
During a press conference held in April of 1988, Ivan Beck, vice director of the ASIN Foundation, described the intention of these tests, stating this program, if granted sufficient backing from the United States government, will offer a solution to all current and future storage and residential needs and save billions of dollars on property construction and management.
As you can see, this was made by Ivan Beck, vice director, or at least described as a place for current and all future storage for the US government. Now, this does make sense of the why, but there's still a how. How do you get there, or how did they make this? Well, we have a how did we get there, but there is no how did they make this, or at least to my research. But if y'all do know how they made this, please feel free to share down in the comments. About a year later, after the third test, they made first contact with the back rooms. Now, as they did this, it looks like it was very hard and it killed at least 2 people, but we're not for certain, as we can assume that they are dead since the damage was... We are finally now in the back room. In the missing persons video, you can see that something went wrong and people are now falling in the back room. Maybe a serial killer was just going on the loose at this time, but it is highly unlikely. In the back room's information video, which is the latest video that he posted on his channel, we can see more background of the company. Now, in this video, he gets lost and somehow gets teleported to another back room, which might be the back rooms of the back rooms. He seems to wander around and finds a house and a wagon. Now, that is very suspicious, but nothing more. The camera just cuts. But he seems to find a auditorium like in a school, and right in the middle of it is some mold, but we'll get back to that later. Now, in the mar11_90 archive.tar, in the mar11_90 archive.tar, we get to see some more background without explanation. Besides this one picture that is hard to turn out, but it says something important, but we'll also get back to that later. Now, in the latest time in the story, 1990 something, the date is a bit iffy, but we'll get back to that later of why that's important. We see Kane, which is Kane Pixels, that he falls into the back rooms. Now, as going into the back rooms, he tries to get out of it, but then encounters a monster, and as this monster seems to be something else, but we will also get back to that later. That was just a quick timeline. I can go into more in depth if you guys want me to make a separate video, but for now, we'll just keep it of the how and the why. But how you get there is way more simple. In the first video, we see some friends making like a home movie. This date is a bit iffy because the clapboard says 1991, but the description says 1996. But somewhere between in the 90s, the cameraman falls down and somehow clips/enters into the back room. This is not the first time something like this has happened to a person in this reality. You can see that in the missing persons video, you can see that the graph starts to go up during the 90s, about the same time as the cameraman falls into the back rooms. We don't know why the back room is opening up so much in the 90s. Or do we? Well, we'll get back to that later. Now in the new video, the back rooms information video, it says that you have to go in groups of 3 with guided supervision. This means that if you're not at least one person that knows what they're doing, you're screwed. In the information video at the 1 minute mark, you can see a sort of map of the place, but this one is different because it is more clear and you can see that they have squares that go small to big. I didn't really think about this at first. Then I watched the mar11_archive.tar, and in that video they have text that you can barely see, but it seems to say between 8:23 and 8:34 a small box field is created, which if we look back, this is what it seems to be talking about. You can also see where it says there is a discrepancy between the two panels, and if you see here on the channel page, there is a timeline that made by the creator. You can see it is in the 90s because it is placed between the information video and the found footage, which is based in the early 90s when the missing persons cases started to rise. So if you put this all together, you can see something went wrong in the panels to make people fall in to the back rooms. And these boxes seem to be where people fall. But it's not the boxes, it's more like the red line at the place at the end of them. As you can see in the information video, the character we are following seems to hear something, so he goes into a room with a dead end. Then all of a sudden his crew vanishes from thin air. Now my theory is that if you seem to accidentally fall into these points, you fall or get teleported into the back rooms because the discrepancy between the panels. So we sort of have an idea of how people and why people are getting there, but there's still one more thing to think about that we can actually try to answer. What is the monster? I know there are multiple, but I'm going to be talking about the one we see in the video. Some might say it's an animatronic made by the company to find organisms and just went rogue, or something under assumption. Well, I'm here to say I think that's wrong. If we see where we start to see the first body in the missing persons video, you can see that the workers are confused about how and why they are here.
This makes no sense. This wasn't in the last report? No, this is definitely new. It's organic. It's some kind of fungus?
Now, as you can hear, they say they see some kind of fungus next to the body. At first I thought this was blood, but there seems to be something else there that the camera doesn't pick up. Now, in the video titled mar11_archive.tar, we can see that they poured water into the back rooms. And if you don't know, that makes mold, which makes me believe that when they poured water into the back rooms, they made some kind of creature. But we don't have a lot of evidence for this claim. All the evidence we do have kind of points to it, how the mold is around the body, kind of like it's eating it. In the video, the backrooms found footage, we can see that the first appearance is stood up tall, but when the cameraman hides and we get to see the full body picture, it looks to have a tripod appearance, which I think I know why. When it's in attack mode, like we see at the end, it's up and ready to go, but if it's trying to listen for you, it's slouched down. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. But how did it come to be? I think we need more evidence for this theory to make a claim, but from the looks of it, it seems to be a sort of mold or fungus trying to grow and feed it to get stronger. Whatever it is, it's hungry and ready to eat. Another gap in the story is if they made this or are trying to tap into it, because this is not connected to any other back rooms from my knowledge that we have seen online. We don't know much more about this world that Kane Pixel has made for us, and a lot of people have not made videos trying to figure out the whys and the hows of Kane's back room. So I hope I gave you an insight of Kane's back room. Of course, I could be wrong, these are all just assumptions, but if you guys know more than me, please feel free to share in the comments. But I know one thing's for sure. Watch where you step. Oh, my throat. Hey guys, Overthinks here with the backup commentary. So, sorry that my voice got a little raspy at the end and then when during the timeline. And the reason is for that is because I had to redo it multiple times. And sorry that I have like a little speech impediment type thing, like where my words aren't spotting right. But hopefully you guys heard everything. I'll try to improve on that. But it took a while to do all this thing. I don't know why it took a while. It's just on that day of recording. Hopefully you guys did understand what I was doing. And by the way, that's all my opinion. So, not facts. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Please like and subscribe, and have an amazing day. Peace out.